My name is Wilfried Hofman. I'm one of the co-founders of Timeless. We deliver a blockchain enterprise architecture, an end-to-end solution in which you, customers, can develop their own applications within the existing legacy systems of organizations and enterprises. That's our mission, and we do it for a variety of organizations. We'll talk about that later on in this presentation. But it's 2017, January. A lot already has happened in the last 2 weeks. But when you think about 2017, I'm just curious, how did you define your goals? I did myself a couple of weeks ago. And I'm just thinking about, how did you define your goals? Was it just in the traditional way that you looked in history, looked at the developments, and increased your target proportionally? So from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4? Or perhaps 5%, 5%, 5%? Or did you dare to think in another way? Did you dare to say, let's start with 1, and then make it 10, and then make it 100, then make it 1,000? Did you dare to define ambition? Here, these are some mountaintops, some mountain peaks. And if you want to reach that top, I'm not a climber. But when you hit the top, the next goal will be the next higher one. And the next goal will be the next higher one. And the ultimate is, of course, the highest. But here on Earth, that height is restricted out of physical reasons. One peak stands out above everything else, the Mount Everest. Last measurement was 8,000 meters, 848, but sometimes it's a bit higher, a bit lower. That's the boundary. And often we also set ourselves also those boundaries that are restricted by the current situation. What happens if we think that we want to reach the moon? Or we set a different ambition that needs a different approach, that needs a different line of thinking, and also a different line of reasoning and acting. And should we also use that in the way how we run our businesses and corporations and organizations? Don't do it in the traditional way, but dare to go to the moon. Dare to think in a different way. And dare to use the new technologies that exist in order to change your business, your industry, your organization. Dare to disrupt yourself. And now it's all about blockchain. And blockchain could be an enabler for such kind of development, such kind of change. Disruption. And disruption, it has such a negative connotation. It has a negative connotation, disruption. But it's just like crisis. We don't like crises. But crises are a reality. Crises exist. And you have to cope with that. You've got to cope with the risks that can occur and make plans, mitigate them, do everything with them. And it's the same with blockchain as well, as a disruptive technology that also offers you the chances to stay relevant. Back in the 80s, I studied economics in the Netherlands, University of Groningen. And we had a study book. It was called In Search of Excellence, written by Peter Waterman, 2 former McKinsey consultants, and perhaps you have read it as well. And it was taught to us because there were the lessons how to run your company. And one of the lessons was, stick what you do best. But when you look at the list of the companies that they had surveyed in this book, most of them don't exist anymore. They are marginalized. Their place has been replaced by companies that are much younger. In order to stay relevant, you've got to dare to assess your position, to dare to think what will be our next step. And the next step, you can learn from history. We can learn from what happened in the music industry 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. Napster came, Spotify came, and it changed the way musicians, in relation to the producer and the music companies, acted. It changed our behavior. I didn't dare to steal a record out of a magazine, out of a store. I didn't dare to steal a CD out of a store. But sometimes I found a website where I could download something. And it's regarded as stealing. It changes our habits. It changes how we act as consumers. It changes how we regard and use television and printed media. It also changes how we act as consumers in regards to the banks and insurance companies. I worked for a bank, ING Bank, for years and years. And we always said, our bank will remain. It was called the Postbank. We had 9 million customers. Out of 17, there at that time, 16 million Dutch people, 9 million customers, we will remain. But when you Google, you can't find the name anymore. We went up into ING, and you know all the other histories. Banking industry changes. And what will be next? My wife, she bought a Tesla. I couldn't dare to think about an autonomous driving car, but it's pretty cool. I must say, it's pretty cool, but it doesn't have the sound of a Maserati or Ferrari, but it's pretty cool to drive through the A2 on the Netherlands without your hands. But what will be the next step? And I think that you and I need to assess what will be our future, because there is no safe haven. Everything will change, and that's for sure. And why will it change? Of course, the cost pressure. That's the economical reason. But also something else, the speed of change. My colleague Michael Ray is former board member of SAP and Infosys, and he told me, SAP systems are updated and upgraded once in 7 years. And you know it for your own company as well. Once in 7 years. But when I look at my iPhone, each day I receive a new update from all those apps. A very different speed of innovation and changes. And how to cope with that? The speed of change. How to cope, what I already told, about the change in behavior of consumers. Generation X, Y, Z. They don't trust anymore the big institutions. They want to do transactions without intermediaries. The growth of the peer-to-peer economy, that's all affecting the business that we run. And it's made possible by technology. And that's why we are here. To shift from central computing to decentralized. Shift from client-server to distributed computing, based on the power and also based on the law of more, increasing power and diminishing costs. And blockchain technology can provide us with the solutions for new applications based on this trend. A trend, as I said, peer-to-peer economy in which individuals increasingly want to do transactions amongst themselves without intercession of parties, third parties. Now, that was a very familiar figure. But others some other statement from Mark Andreessen, you can read it by yourselves. Blockchain foundational technology like TCP/IP. And this one is also interesting. This comes from a report from the World Economic Forum. Last week they were in Davos. In 2016 there came a report, and they said by 2027, 10% of global domestic product will be based on blockchain technology. And that's a huge amount. This will affect everything. And therefore it's necessary to rethink, to reassess your position, how to cope with the technology, what to do with it, what will your strategy, and what are your options. And we as Timeless are working together in a variety of projects in the Netherlands. We are based in the Netherlands, our headquarters here is there. We have an office in Germany and here in the UK as well. And we do projects in lots of industries, varying from the public. This is a logo of the Dutch government. And we have projects with the tax authorities. We run a project with, I'm sorry, it's Dutch, but this is such a nice picture. This is the transport of dangerous goods. It will be monitored and be Alex, ondersteund, supported by the blockchain. My colleague Alex, my favorite supporter. It's monitored, and all the transactions, all the moves are registered in the blockchain and used for compliance reasons. There's one big domain in which we are active, GRC, the logging of transactions, logging of events, logging of sensor data, and put it in the blockchain, tamper-proof, and use that for audit trails. A different application is the use of blockchain for Visa. We developed that for the Dutch local governments in Aruba, and also for other authorities in the Netherlands, visa documents that are verifiable and authentic, tamper-proof. And with those kind of solutions, you can have impact on the workflow. The Ministry of Justice asked us to help them to improve the Court of Justice, the process for Court of Justice, you call that, by registering who's reading the documents. Last year, there was a Dutch magistrate who sentenced someone without reading the documents. And that's something that you don't want. But used in blockchain technology and tracking, tracing what he has done, you have the proof, temporal-wise proof, and the trustworthiness of all those actions. We also work for a UK-based accountancy firm for the auditing process, and so there is a big variety. And Mike, one of our partners, John, will tell more about a solution for the institute. Thanks. What's the next task for you? Talking about blockchain, talking about innovation, and having to cope with your existing core systems, existing infrastructure. We call it the two-speed IT challenge. And it's something that I would like to discuss further with you, but I don't have the time for that in this short presentation. But you can use the blockchain as a sidecar approach next to the maintenance and the development of your existing systems. Use blockchain to improve your products and services and over time integrate it in your existing infrastructure. We provide as I said, an enterprise architecture, end-to-end, because we think that blockchain should not be a single solution, standalone solution, it should be integrated from end-to-end with all the security aspects, elements, onboarding, blah, blah, blah. High performance, highly scalable, and therefore we have chosen to have a permissioned approach for blockchain applications. And also, of course, with smart contracts, etc., and IoT connections. I'm nearly at the end of my presentation. I talked about technology. I talked about your ambitions and about your challenges. But when you look at implementation, it's also about the organization, also about the soft factors, the soft skills. Don't forget them. And look also for ownership on C-level in order to get the things done. Ask for their support, ask for the right budget, and look that they will become your champions in order to get this innovation implemented in your organization. Therefore, we believe the digital disruption is real. Blockchain can be an enabler. Face it to speed IT using blockchain as a sidecar, and use the sponsors on C-level within your organization. This is what I want to share with you, some thoughts.
Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to be here, also from Holland, partner from Timeless. And I strongly believe in looking 5 years ahead, that disruption should be part of a business model of each and every company. I'm working for Magic. Magic is a global actor in digital transformation. And for Magic, I'm covering the area of Benelux and Nordics, so you could say the cold and wet part of Europe's mainland, but hey, where am I telling this? You know, you have your share as well. We're really into digital transformation. And that's gonna be grand, I think. For this, we have a mission and a vision that, that is completely synchronized with that. We would like to be smart, forward-looking, determined, and open. And in order to also reach the still remaining physical social networks, we also printed this on the backside of a beer card. And our platform, or our product, is in fact, you know, a full-fledged integration platform in which we are having the possibility of speaking with autonomous agents, IoT devices, and we are able to build our own connectors, or you or the user is able to build his own connectors into this platform. On top of that, we have a low-code application delivery platform with one code set. We bring it to each and every user, whether it's a mobile, web, or desktop user. We see ourselves as digital forwarders from raw data to valuable information, but we do the fetching and bringing. We're an integration company. But with our customers, we would like to talk, you know, how to hire their contribution. And we have a nice set of customers and references that can vouch for that. And what are we talking with our customers? What is digital transformation? Digital transformation is, if you look at the simple picture of a company in which you have raw material, you produce something, you bring it to a half product. Based on your logistical quality, you either assemble to order or you assemble to stock. You do that with people, with human resources, and you do that with other resources. What is the quintessence of digital transformation? It's actually this. Bring down the effort or the volume of human work, diminish mistakes, faults, and those kind of things, and bring it over to autonomous working processes and machines. And the end goal of that is that you have less investment in your current assets. But in this, mainly, you save direct cost. If you would like to save also overhead or indirect cost, you should step into your supply chain, because the companies in a supply chain can help each other to save overhead cost or indirect cost, and that's where blockchain is coming in. And in blockchain, I'm not going to explain what blockchain is, you know better than I do. But blockchain, and we are struck by point 3C, open the door to autonomous agents, processes, and organization. Autonomous agents, IoT, and that's what we need. So if we put a blockchain smart contract on top of a supply chain, you could have validated in a trusted environment your order levels. The supplier sees that the order level is going low. He will bring a new lot to the production company. without having any overhead like purchase department, sales department, registration, administration. And that's where you start saving mainly indirect costs. We're running right now, together with Timeless, a number of practical cases that turn out to be projects, for instance, for logistics, condition control, procurement. For instance, and that's maybe a disappointment to all of you, but the tulips from Amsterdam are growing in Kenya. And to bring them from Kenya to Amsterdam in order to have them auctioned, they need to, there's specific requirements on between what temperature they should be transported and these kinds of situations. And the forwarders, the airline companies, are looking into having crates with sensors on temperature, on movement, on those kind of things, in order to be able to prove to the auctioneer and the grower that they transported according to the requirements. This is a project that's going to be into the, into the blockchain. Another situation is employment agencies, and that's a case in which I would like to zoom in a bit, because in our reference base, we have a number of employment agencies. And one of these employment agencies asked us to sit with them and think strategically about IT in the next coming 5 years. What can we do? How can we do it? I can't reveal the name of the customer because they would like to go public themselves. So my apologies for that. But if you look at staffing agencies, there's a lot of downsides or disruption. LinkedIn and Xing are being considered the biggest competitors of staffing agencies. Passively applying candidates, like I was asking my daughter, did you apply to the job? Yeah, she said, I did it just 5 minutes ago. I said, you didn't go out? No, I filled in a web form. This is the way, young people apply these days. And there are some new employment jobs that already go viral. And the administrative processes remain, in fact. So these are downsides or disruption. If you look at the upside, if you look at 5 years ahead, disruption will bring employment shifts. The time of an employment will be much shorter, and the role changes of one worker will be much more. Staffing agencies or employment agencies can play a wonderful role in that, in order to adapt and approach and talk to new generations that are used to, apply through an app or work through an app, communicate through an app. Think out of the box and make disruption part of the business model. What is the business model? In fact, it's this. It's a triangle. On top is the agency, the customer, the left side, and the temp worker at the right side. And in fact, what's happening is that the customer files a request. I would like to have someone or a number of people to do this. Agencies start finding them in their files. They see whether it's a fit, and they build 2 contracts. One for the worker, one for the customer. If you put this into a blockchain management system, you could have these contracts also controlled by this blockchain management system. We provide the worker with an app that's authorized, to touch this blockchain specific case. And an app is, for instance, something like this. And this is one of our templates that we can bring easily. But that is really authorized to step into a specific blockchain. And once this is done, he fills in on the app his worked hours, he registers them. The app is also equipped with geofence, and the standard work for a temporary worker is step into a building, do something, step out of the building, and in between he should have worked. The app can say when did he step in this building, when did he go out of this building, and the number of worked hours should be less. That's one of the checks we can do with this app, for instance. And then this smart contract could trigger existing procurement systems and existing payment systems. That's the first phase. Not stepping into cryptocurrency and those kind of things, but at first address the existing, how do you call it, procurement and payment systems that are in place. And what will be the outcome of this? On a functional level, can we do it? And can we think of it? Yes, we can. There's no doubt. On a technical level, can we do it? Yes, of course, we can as well. And looking at the financial level, and that's maybe really nice, we had a financial consultant browsing the internet for public annual information of a number of large employment agencies, and he came to this model, this business model. Out of 100% of revenue, the employment agency has just 5% of EBITDA. So that's the gross margin. And that was being checked according to the details that we found on this annual information. The process overhead of establishing the registration, the administration, the control, and those kind of things for the standard staffing jobs is 6%. And very default, so only changed by numeric variables, is 1/3 of it. It means that we could improve the EBITDA with 2%. And this is what we're just doing right now. The scoping has already taken place, and we estimate that this project, this specific project, will cost us 7 months of lead time, which would result in a return on investment of much less than 1 year. And this is, what blockchain is all about, I think. So I would like to end with something that Roald Dahl once said: "Those who do not believe in magic will never find it." Thank you.
One question, if anybody has it.
How do you monitor the quality control of the temporary people? Because they've kind of been put together via the blockchain. I can see where it saves money for the agency. But what about the quality of that individual? These companies are just happily getting somebody linked on the blockchain to come in.
Yeah.
You don't know their past background, how good they've been, security checks, etc. I mean, depending on what the work is.
Yeah, first you start with trust. You address an employment agency of which you hope that he will bring the right quality. This can always be wrong or go wrong. So we need to define some red button somewhere in a way that the smart contract is temporarily on hold. Let's have a discussion, because I don't like the quality of this guy, and let's see what we can do there. But there are also other hurdles, like having this app that he's using certified, brought into the blockchain. That's one of the things. Another hurdle is, for instance, all these intermediates are used to fill in a template, like numbers, and they read. But they are actually the ones that load a specific smart contract. So there needs to be a translation situation as well. This all needs to be certified. So I'm not saying it's a piece of cake.
Maybe the clients put something out there that goes on to the blockchain that kind of gives them credit.
They will be having access as well. Yeah, they will be having access as well. Thank you.